Welcome to Greg's Real Revival. Today we're going to service an old classic. This is a Zebco 33, probably somewhere in the 1990s. I caught this on Facebook Marketplace and thought it would be a great reel to put on the channel because there's a lot of people that like these, a lot of people that have inherited these for years past. So here we go. Just twist the cap to the left, set that right there. All right. If your top spinner cone, this is like a line guide. It presses the line between this and the inside of the cover. If yours looks like this, be very, very careful. All right, because these get old, they get brittle, and if you're tough with them, they will disintegrate in a heartbeat. To clean them, get a Q-tip, maybe spray a little bit of WD-40 on the end of it, and then I just want you to wipe that out. Don't get, now you all know if I get something that's really dirty, I get pretty aggressive with it. On these, do not, okay, because that cap or that ring there will just disintegrate and then you're done. Okay, so that one's already been cleaned up a little bit. There's no problem there. If that does break or disintegrate, you can go to your hardware store and buy like a silicone O-ring that's about that same size, and you can get that back to working. So it's not that big of a deal, but if you have one that's in good shape, try to preserve it. Okay, so on this, we're just going to turn it, hold the handle, and then we're just going to turn it to the left. And that's going to pop off there. Really not a whole lot in there. I've already been in there, so that one's really clean. Same thing, if it's dirty, just get your toothpick, clean it out a little bit. And then put a little bit of oil right here. Put a little oil right underneath there. And just work that back and forth with your finger a few times. All right. You can go right there. That's the top of that. Get this out of my mouth so y'all can hear me. So you can put a little bit of oil on the top of there, and then just work that and you'll be just fine. Okay, so that one's in good shape. We want to leave it alone. Be real soft with these because they are a little bit fragile. Okay, so here we go. This is the big C-clip, E-clip, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to take our screwdriver, pull that off, lay that down. Here's just a white cap, absolutely nothing spectacular about that. Next thing is our spool. All right, underneath our spool we have a washer. Underneath that washer, you may not be able to see it, but there is a almost clear drag washer. We got that, and then that. Okay. And then on the very bottom, this is your drag, okay? If you'll notice, I'm going to take this off. You'll see there's a screw down in there, or like the top of a screw. That's your drag setting. When you use this here to increase your drag, that brass piece goes up. It pushes on this, it pushes it up, and that puts pressure on your spool, and that gives you your drag. Okay, so that's all we have on that side of the reel. All right, now I've done it to myself again. Thought I had all my tools here. I do not. I'm going to get probably a pair of pliers or maybe my little wrench and get that off there so we can take the handle off. Give me just a second, I'll be right back. All right. Now I will apologize right now. This is the smallest crescent wrench I have. So we're just going to open this up a little bit. Be soft with this, okay? If you can find a box wrench that fits that, please do that. But make sure that's tight on there and just barely turn it. You have to be careful because you don't want to round off the corners of these. All right, so just take it slow. All right, so that should come off there. There it is. Handle comes off. Underneath the handle there is a little washer, so you know where that goes. All right, so that is our top side of our reel. All right, now let's get under here to the, what I term the business side of the reel. What I have found works really well for these are like these silicone jar openers. You can get in here, just hold the foot of the reel and twist this to the left. You might have heard that or not. So that comes right off there, okay? That's really nice and clean, so not a whole lot to do there. And now let's look in here. Okay, so here is all our gearing. When we pull this out, you'll see a little bit of it's kind of yucky and dirty, but we'll get that all situated. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take out this, we'll tell you what, first thing we're going to do is pull out that pinion gear. Okay, that just pulls out. It doesn't lock in there anyway, it just pulls straight out. Next thing we need to do is get this main gear out. First thing we need to do is pull that little plastic holder out. Let me see if I can do, okay, so that comes right back out. There is a groove in this sleeve here that this rides in. Also, there is a little ridge on this side that points out. It does not point to the inside of the reel. So when you're putting that in, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that little ridge points to the outside of the reel, okay? Okay, now that that's out, there is a little, it's a housing basically. Let me see if I'll point to it with this. It's right here. It goes over the shaft of the main gear. So it's right there. We're gonna push that out and then it's gonna come out this side of the reel, okay? Put that down in there, push out. Try to see if I can just push down on that. All right, that's pretty tight. So I'm going to go get a pair of needle nose, something else I didn't think I was going to need, and I'm just going to gradually kind of work that out of there. So be patient with me. I'll be right back. Thank you all. All right, so let's see if we can pull this little sleeve out here. Oh, that came out really nice up there. All right, so we'll clean the outside of that off. We'll clean the inside of it off real good, and we'll make sure we get that in there. All right. Okay, so this is our main gear. It's just gonna pull right out of there. All right. So this here is the anti-reverse. That little, it kind of comes up and then it turns at a 90-degree angle. That points towards your gear. It doesn't point towards the inside of the reel. So when you take this off, just realize that, okay? So there's your main gear. Ours looks pretty good, just a little bit dirty. All right, next thing we need to look at. This right here, and this is kind of hard to see, but that is your anti-reverse. We're actually not going to do anything with that. It's really working well. Probably what we will do is we'll just spray a little bit of WD-40 down in here. Work it back and forth really good and make sure it's clean. And then we will take some Q-tips and get all the extra stuff out of there. All right, so that's working really, really well. So that's all we need to do with this reel. Okay, so there's our breakdown. We're gonna get all this cleaned up real quick and then we'll be right back and we'll get it put back together. All right, that didn't take too long. The reel was pretty clean. So let's start back on the bottom here and we will get all this put back together. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put some grease just on the teeth of that main gear. Ooh, that's a lot. Don't need a whole lot. Easier for me just to use a little paintbrush. Just paint a little bit of it in there. All right, now we're going to take this and we're going to put it, I'll tell you what we're going to do first. First, we're going to put our little anti-reverse in there. And remember, this part faces the gear, okay? All right, that clicks right on there. That's pretty easy. We are also going to put just a little bit of grease on here. This is going to ride inside of that little sleeve, so it needs to have a little bit of grease on the inside of it. All right, so let me see if I can show this to you guys. There is a little notch in there. To get that anti-reverse to work, this little piece has to sit inside of that notch. And I'm going to do my best to show y'all how to do that. It's just kind of hard to see because it's a tight space. When you try to do it on camera, it's hard. But I'll do my best. Okay, so just kind of pull that anti-reverse up. I'm going to slip that in there, and we just want to make sure that that little anti-reverse is in there. So it looks like it is. I'm going to hold this with my finger, and then if I can find it right here, I'm going to put this bushing or casing or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to put it in there. First, I'm going to brush a tiny bit of grease on the outside. Now, that little ridge side goes in first because that's what that little clip sits inside of. Okay? So I'm going to hold that right there. Push that in. And I was able to push that all the way in. So I can tell if the anti-reverse is working because I can spin that gear forward and then spin it back, and that anti-reverse catches. Okay, so we're good there. I think just for kicks, since I've had my hands all over it, I am going to put just a tiny bit more grease in there, but not a whole lot. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our pinion gear. Okay, right there. Need a little bit of grease on that. Not a whole lot. And then we're going to put just a little bit inside these teeth here. Now, what you need to remember is this pinion gear is going to share grease with that main gear, so you don't need a whole lot of it. I'll put just a tiny bit right here. That's where the threads go to that top spinner cone, so we'll have lubrication there. Okay, so we just take this and we put the shaft side in first, and we just let that mesh with our main gear, and you can see, I think, should be able to see, that when that main gear turns, that pinion gear turns also. So we're good to go right there. Okay. Next thing we need to do is put this little clip in. I think right there, you should be able to see that it's a little bit off color, a little bit different color right there. That's that little groove in that gear. The part of this that points outwards points to the outside of the reel. Okay, so we'll make sure we do that. All right, so I think we're good to go there. Looks like we are. All right, perfect. So the bottom side of the reel is done. Okay, if you've done that part, you have done the difficult part, so you should be good to go. Next thing we'll do, just put a tiny bit of grease right there. Now this is the part I always get wrong. The fat part of the handle right there goes towards the reel seat. So if you'll just line those up, set that on there, and you can use your little silicone pad and give that half a turn, and there you go, or a quarter of a turn even maybe. All right, we're making some progress, folks. All right. Next thing we're going to do, the first thing that goes down here is going to be the anti-reverse. And if you remember, that tab or that tab 1 needs to go right in there to that little brass opening, and then you'll have to kind of spin your anti-reverse. Your drag to get that in there correctly. But there. I can look in there and see that's in there correctly. Okay, so we're good to go there. Next thing that goes down is this little metal washer right there. You'll see it's got 3 little tabs on it, and there's little tabs on this too, and those just fit right down in there, just for lubrication purposes and just to kind of keep it weather resistant. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of grease on the underside. Then I'm going to put that down on there, and then I'm going to put a tiny bit on this side here. Next thing I have is this clear drag washer. That's going to go right there. It is nylon, so it does not need any lubrication. And I also just put lubrication on that down there, so that'll get it everything it needs. Then we want this the bigger side with the little notches in it. That goes down next. All right, so we're good there. And then next thing that goes down is this little cap. It's got the 3 little notches in it also, with 3 little tabs. Those are going to go down in those notches also. All right. Next thing we're going to put on is our little clip here to hold everything together. And with reel repair, if you get something that's just not fitting together right, just take your time. You see that? That fit right on there, so we're good to go. All right, next thing, let's put on our handle. We want to put this little brass washer on. Got a little piece of something, probably paper towel or something in there. All right, so I'm going to put that on first. Next thing I'm going to put on is the handle. And then our handle nut. All right, again, find you a box wrench that fits. The better way to do that. All right, so we got that working right there. That's not going to spin because I don't have that spinner coat on yet. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, we've already got a tiny bit of grease on there. That is going to screw right into there. So we're just going to spin that on. Then we can push that up, and then you'll see that it's working now. Working perfectly, okay? For a reel that's 30 years old, can't complain about that. Okay, anti-reverse works. If we turn this on, this is our clicker, I believe. Yeah, you can hear that clicking. Okay, I don't prefer the clicker, so I'll turn that off. And then over here is our, if we want to remove the anti-reverse, we can click that, and then we can freeze, or we can spin forwards, and we can also spin backwards. Okay, so everything's working on this reel. We're going to take this hot cap there. This is Zebco here. It's going to line up with this 33. So if you'll just let it kind of sit down into its tabs and just kind of give it about half a click there. I think we're quite where we need to be. All right, so there we go. The Zebco and the 33 line up, and we're good to go. Spins really good. Release, clicks. So there we go. All right, so that is your old school Zebco 33. If you have any questions about it, let me know. If you like videos like this and you want to learn more about fishing reel servicing, fishing reel repair, anything like that, please subscribe to the channel. If you have a a reel that you would like to have serviced, then just shoot me an email at gregsreelrevival@gmail.com, and I will get you a price on that, and you can get it to me, and we'll get it serviced. So thank y'all for watching. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.